What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to JG's Lounge for another episode of Singed Eye Sockets, a perception podcast where we talk about deep topics, get different viewpoints on it, and nobody's really right or wrong. We just talk about it and have good conversations. With us tonight, we've got Evolution right next to me. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. Having a wonderful day and looking forward to a nice long rest.
Speaking of resting, you got Sean down there. Took a little 25-minute power nap just now.
Yeah, I'm fresh as a daisy. Let's do this thing.
And then Thomas, man, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude. I've talked to you about this stuff for a while now, and I've always talked about having you on, and then I saw I was like, I'm just gonna ask him.
I'm glad you did, man. It's about time, right?
Yeah, seriously. So again, as I've been wanting to tell everybody, with JG's Lounge, we've been growing rapidly. I mean, just in the last month, I've gained 49 subscribers, and that's all to the help of Evolution and Sean as well. They're both hosts on the network, and it's growing quick. We're hitting, roughly 50,000 views every month on YouTube alone, and yeah, it's
good on
stupid.
you, dude. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's exciting. It's a lot of fun. It's a wild ride, and it's going to keep going. So,
Well, to be fair, like 38 of those are mine. So
that's fair. That's fair.
Credit where credit is due, my friends.
Yes. It's actually all Sean and his connections. That's what it is.
He's modest too, is what I hear.
All right. So for tonight's topic, and I've kind of already told you guys a little bit about this, but I want to start out point blank. 3 men. It was January 7th that 3 men were found frozen to death in the back of a guy's yard. 2 days. It was 2 days after, and one of the fiancés actually found them. They broke into the house and found one of the bodies in the backyard. This was after a Chiefs football game, playoff game, so it was a pretty big deal. And all these guys were in their 30s. So just based off that little bit of information, like, what is your guys' views on something like this?
All right. These dudes are doing drugs. That's what I think.
Yes.
I think personally, they were sitting around, and one of the guys says, "I swear to God, if I see Taylor Swift one more fucking time," and then they just all harakiri out.
I was just think of you ever hear those stories of people who get like in a plane crash in the mountains or something, and it's freezing cold, or they're camping in a tent in the freezing cold or whatever, and then they find them like strewn about and they're all naked. Hypothermia makes them all take their clothes off because they feel warm, and they run off, and they find these dead guys naked in the middle of a snowstorm.
Yes. This is exactly what happened. Just in a guy's backyard right here in Kansas City.
I mean, we've all been there, right?
I'm actually thinking differently. I'm thinking it's a bet on the game gone bad.
All right. Interesting. Go on.
Pay up.
Right. So somebody's betting on one team, somebody's betting on the other, and I'm thinking that the person that lived there didn't pay up, and they're like, "We're gonna wait until he comes out, and we're gonna get our money."
That's a desperation move.
Right. And actually, the night that it happened, I mean, it was like negative 15 degrees or something like that.
No kidding.
Well,
Right.
the game was like a record low for Arrowhead Stadium or something like that. I mean, it was cold.
Yeah.
It was cold.
Yes.
I was at that game. It was cold.
I heard beers were literally like freezing. And exploding.
Yeah, you couldn't drink them. You maybe get halfway through before it's a slushy that you're trying to squeeze through a tube. It was horrible. It was the it was the soberest game I've ever been to.
Yeah, I mean, I think my only real like starting view on this when I heard about it was like when I was younger and drinking a lot. I mean, I I didn't realize the temperature. Like I never like acknowledged temperatures. So like if they were drunk out of their mind, you know, even if they went outside for a cigarette or something, you know, I mean, it was bitter cold, but like when you're drunk, you don't even acknowledge temperatures.
Yeah, but like all three of them, you know what I'm saying? Like if all
Right,
three
there's more.
dudes are out there, like
Yes.
you'd think somebody falls asleep on the ground and they're like, "Hey man, hey buddy, friend
Yeah.
of mine, like
Yeah.
don't do that." But
And
Right.
they're in their 30s too. Like
Yeah.
just coming from the perspective, I was in another lifetime, I was an EMT, and I mean, unless these guys were wickedly out of shape, still, the fact that it was three of them. I mean, at first blush, it seems like it is an alcohol related incident, and if it was one dude, yeah. See, look at that. If it was just one of them,
Right.
I could possibly see it, but with it being the three of them and no context to go by, this is incredibly weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
to think like, okay, so I know now it's been years since I've really gotten into any like hard drugs, but
Yes.
I know that like recently I've been hearing that there's if you're around any kind of white powder, there's a pretty high likelihood it's going to have fentanyl in it or something. If these
Right.
dudes are
Mm.
tying one on, I'm wondering
Right.
if maybe they got a bad batch of something or another.
Right.
Huh.
See, but no, if you pull those pictures up, like
Yeah,
first
hold
of all, the dude stage right looks like Ben Shapiro. Okay.
Yeah.
And the other guy looks like a stage manager, and that one's probably a roadie. But the point is, like this comedy, they don't just by appearances, they don't look like they'd be dudes dipping into anything that has fentanyl in it. Well, I mean, Ricky Johnson, I don't know. That has a bit of a trailer ring to it, but Clayton McGeeney, really, really?
Yeah, I mean you're right though. They don't look like avid drug users or anything.
No, a Harrington. I mean, that sounds like somebody that should be. You know, we're doing a weekend in the in the cabin with the other Harringtons. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot that's weird about this already, dude.
I'm still wondering about the guy who like lived at the place.
Yeah,
the sole survivor.
Well,
Like,
let's get this little intro
Tonight,
clip
there's
out of the
a
way.
deepening mystery in Kansas City following the deaths of 3 men. Their bodies found frozen in a friend's backyard after watching a night of football.
I should have played that in the beginning. I was like, I probably should play this. But so yeah, he did rent the place, and it's really weird because he said initially that he had gone to bed before they left. And he was apparently asleep for 2 days. So he never heard phone calls. He never responded to messages on Facebook or anything. He just slept for 2 days, apparently.
2
And then when
days.
the cops showed up, when the cops showed up, he answered the door with empty wine glass and let him in with no issues. Just said he'd been sleeping.
What are you doing? What are you doing leading up to falling asleep for 2 straight days?
Right.
I mean, I'm thinking like you now. It's like a lot. It's a lot more than alcohol.
Right.
Well, now hold on, because during my fraternity days, there was one night where I got seriously involved with some Strawberry Red Mad Dog 2020 and some Purple Passion and some Goldschlager, and there was just Boilermakers. Like I did more alcohol than anyway. Point being, I know I had alcohol poisoning. I just didn't go to the hospital for it, and I was down for 2 days straight. Like I couldn't. I would sit up for a second, and I would fall back down, and I was in and out of consciousness for 2 days straight. So, personal experience, it can happen, but with all the stuff that like it seems weird. You know, like I was asleep for 2 days.
You got to be drinking with a mission at that point. So this kind of so when I was in college, there was a story about a fraternity on our campus, and there was a kid who had passed away in his bunk in his his room in the fraternity. I guess he did not have the ability to regurgitate. It was like a medical condition.
Wow.
But like people in his fraternity were like betting on it. They're like, I'll bet you will if you just drink XYZ. and the
Right.
kid ended up dying in the middle of the night. Like, so like, I don't know. Maybe it's not relevant at all. It just kind of reminded me of that. But I was like, is there some sort of a egging on situation, like going back to maybe of a bet of some kind, or playing a freeze out? Okay, like you lost, so you have to stand outside for 15 minutes, or I don't know. Who knows?
Right.
Well, if the condition of the frozen dudes is all three of them are pawing at the back door, then yeah, that's exactly what happened. We don't know.
Right.
But
I
think,
still want to know what they were positioned at. Like, were they just like laying down sporadically, or they curled in a ball on the back?
And they haven't even released that either. Like, they haven't said how they found them. They just said that the fiance came and like broke in through the basement window and found one of the bodies in the backyard, and then called the cops. And then that's when they showed up and found the other bodies.
Whoa. Broken. Okay, I'm completely confused about the breakdown of this. Because the cops.
So January 7th, this was the Chiefs game,
right?
And they're all there having the watch party, and that's when this all happens. But then over the next 2 days, the dude's sleeping. These guys are married or engaged, and family trying to find out where they are. And then one of the guy's fiancés had been messaging him. What's his name? Willis, I think is his last name. The guy who rented the place, and he didn't respond because he was apparently sleeping for 2 days. And then when the cops showed up banging at his door, he actually woke up and answered it. So over the course of 2 days, these dudes are just frozen in his backyard, and they got family trying to figure out where they are.
And so
this is the first
of this guy knowing what's going on.
Yes.
Okay, so let's back up a little bit, because someone broke through a window and found them, and then the cops are banging on the door. So she broke in and he didn't hear anything, or
apparently, I mean, he doesn't say anything about hearing her break in.
I did hear that like their cars were still like in the driveway.
Yes, but they weren't in the driveway. They were in the street. And Willis said that I should probably make sure that's his actual name. The guy who was renting the place said that it wasn't uncommon. And yes, it's John Pacerno, his name Willis. He's the one who was renting the property. He said that it wasn't uncommon for them to leave their cars there.
Okay, I think I'm still just like evolution. I'm hung up on the breaking into the window. I mean, was she like banging on the door, couldn't get an answer, so she breaks in the window to get into the house?
She had been over there over the course of the 2 days, trying to get in contact with them,
and then breaks in.
Yeah, I mean, if his car's out there and she's trying to figure out where he's at, I mean, it's his fiance,
or what he's doing, right?
Okay, but do you understand like the chain of events? Here's where I'm confused. Okay, I'm a therefore B guy. I see how things break down. If she breaks in, gets into the house to see if he's in there, and that the guy is in the house sleeping. Yes, is that where we're at? Okay, so she goes in the house. It means she see the guy sleeping. Like, he's fine. They're not here. I'll just leave. Like, that makes no sense. If I see the dude there, I'm shaking him to like, bro, where is my fiance?
Right.
Yeah.
So where are we? It's like we're missing a step. I feel like
there's a disconnect here somewhere.
Right. No kidding. Yeah.
Yes. Well, and there's the worst part is that nobody really knows until the cops showed up. It's only hearsay. There's no hard evidence on anything. I mean, the toxicology report, which we'll get into in a minute down the road, kind of changes it up a little bit. But just based on what we know now, it's such a weird like case in general, because like you said, not a lot of it adds up.
Okay.
Let's see. I'll make sure this. It says, while the KCPD said that there was no obvious signs of foul play observed at or near the crime scene, and that it wasn't ruled a homicide investigation, the deceased family suspected they weren't getting the full story, which is true. See, it even says nothing's adding up. This is a People Magazine's article, so it's the best one I found with the most information on it. So,
all right.
But yeah, so even nobody really knows. But the problem was like the dude answered the door with he didn't seem hesitant at all. He let him right in. He was surprised about the bodies. I mean, but if let's say he's a drug dealer, or he's the one who gave the drugs and he's a heavy hitter addict, then he could have been passed out for 2 days, and he could have not been aware of any of this.
I suppose, yeah. I mean, I guess it depends on what they're doing. I mean, I've got friends who have gotten into heroin, and they call it dropping out. They like drop out, where basically they don't know where they're at or what they're doing or whatever, but they could be just. It's like blacking out with alcohol, except for it can go for like 2, 3 days, where they wake up and they're like, I have no idea where the hell I am right now.
Right.
But yeah, they called it dropping out. But who knows, man? I mean, looks like a couple of relatively healthy dudes in their 30s. Like, I mean, who knows, man?
Yeah.
Weirder things have happened, I guess. But this one's starting to talk up to something pretty strange.
Yeah. What do you got, Evolution?
You know, when I think about 3 guys freezing to death in someone's backyard, it's just a lot of questions that pop up, you know. Like Thomas was saying, you know, after the first one, wouldn't the other 2 respond and be like, hey, you know, wake up, or
do all 3 just instantly go?
Yeah. We need to get some help. You know, what's going on here? Unless, I mean, they all were outside. It was extremely cold. Maybe it just hit them all at the same time. I don't know. I'm just kind of puzzled. That's because
impeccable timing if somebody is trying to like coordinate this, you know.
Heck yeah, it's just a lot missing.
Well, and Sean, you got anything before I add the next bit of information?
So the way my brain works, the cops are knocking on the door, and I just picture this stoner, you know, and like I see
what
I just like Booger from Revenge of the Nerds, scratching his nuts, eating a Pop-Tart, and like, what's going on, guys? You know. But at the same time, I'm also kind of flashing back to my EMS days, and we had a situation where there was a similar. We had a cold snap, and there was this old guy and his wife, and I can't remember which one had dementia, but what they think happened was the one with dementia wandered out into the snow, and the one came out to wake them up, and the cold kind of overtook the one that had their senses about them. And when they found them, they were like spooning in the snow, and they were covered over with a drift. I mean, it's completely tragic and like somewhat bittersweet, you know. That was a tough one.
Yeah, but it still makes sense though, the way that they would be positioned. You know what I mean? Like, they were clearly trying to keep each other warm, or instinctual level, they're still trying to like huddle towards the heat source of each other.
Yep.
And
that's why I'm still wondering, like, the positioning. You know, one guy's out in the corner, and one, you know, who knows.
That's the other thing too. Like, your body doesn't your body have like that natural response for these kind of situations to try to protect itself?
Yeah.
I think so.
It does. You have like a bunch of automatic responses that, you know, all of your blood will kind of get to the center of you and try to keep it pooled and everything. You know what I mean? Where it's just like it tries to keep the core warm, right? And that's why your frostbite's going to happen in your fingertips, your extremities first, because since the blood's being pulled away from that, you know, it's not going to be as warm. So that's why you're going to lose digits and things before anything else happens. You know, your noses, you know, ears, things like that. You know, and the natural, you know, responses to curl up like this. But you know, maybe they pulled like the ultimate, like maybe they found him and they're like, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. And they're like, this is the best way to die ever.
And the guy's like, no, I had nothing to do with it. I don't know how they ended up frozen like that.
I don't know if you want to even own up to it. I don't know these guys.
Yeah. They must have been trying to break in my house. I have no idea. Actually, so the next part is So the cops have showed up. They're getting the story from this guy. They found the 3 bodies. And then Willis's first initial story is that they came over to watch a game. They're watching Jeopardy. He goes to pass out in his room, and they're still there. And that's all he knows. That's all he releases the first go round. And he adds, it changes later on, but that's the next step. That's the next bit of information we have is that he just went to bed and they were still there.
So how did they end up outside? I mean,
we still don't know.
I'm thinking it's really cold out. I'm not going outside. I'm in here in the warm. I'm enjoying myself. Why go outside?
We haven't even touched that point yet, but I've messed around with some, heavier hallucinogenic things when I was younger. And actually going outside is quite common and it's kind of something that you want to do.
Change of scenery.
Yeah, change her. And actually during the winter when it's silent outside, it's pretty nice. But that's but I don't know. Again, nobody knows why these guys ended up outside. Even now, we still don't know why they went outside. With all them, this is about a month later, and they still can't. Then nobody knows why they went outside.
Well, I still okay. I mean, these were like near record lows for us, right? So it's almost a novelty situation, right? Like this doesn't happen every year, or whatever. So I don't know. I still keep thinking like we would play the freeze out game in high school, right? Like you and like 3 of your buddies are in the car on the way to school, and it's 10 degrees outside, and everybody rolls down all the windows, like freeze out. First one to cover up is a little bitch or whatever.
Yeah,
but I just can't imagine. Yeah, I know.
Sean, you've never done that? Wait, Sean, you've never done that game? You're kidding me. I've done that.
I grew up in the heart of the Midwest. No.
Yeah, freeze out.
Yeah, I've done
freeze out. Don't be a wuss. You got to keep up with it.
We would drive around. Yeah, we would drive around town with the girl.
Don't show basic intelligence and stay warm.
Right.
Well, it seems, I guess it seems highly suspect. I mean, first of all, you say the story is changing. We're going to get to that. But it seems highly suspect that this guy is like, it's almost like a kid that gets in trouble and they're talking to their parents and they say, well, mother and father, I was at home doing homework and studying the Pythagorean theorem, and I found myself tired, so I retired to bed, and I know nothing of what happened afterwards. That's like my gut is telling me that. Now, the one question I do have is the temperatures at that time, if I'm not mistaken, with the wind chills, weren't they dipping down into, it wasn't even just like that it was -6 or 10 out, but the wind chills were down in the negative, like double digits, yes?
Yeah, it was like 20. It was real feel was like -20s. Yeah.
Okay, so now we're talking a different situation where frostbite and things are setting in incredibly fast. So if there is some sort of diminished capacity, I don't know. We need to hear more. Like I'm just feeling like I'm missing it.
Like I said, I was at that Chiefs game, and once we left the stadium and we were walking back to the car, and the wind is really hitting you. And I mean, mind you, we had just stood there for 3 hours in the cold, all bundled up and whatnot. But that walk back to the car was absolutely brutal. I mean, and that was full force wind, straight on your face, straight like if you take your gloves off, straight on your hands. I mean, and it burned. It burned. Right. And I mean, it took everything we had just to get back to the car, and we had a pretty good spot, you know what I mean? But it was miserable.
Okay.
Well, and I don't know if they were cigarette smokers or anything like that. They could have been going out for a smoke, on the back porch real quick. And if they weren't sober minded, then
who knows, man? Who knows?
It's got to be but here's the thing. All right, say the 4 of us are trapped outside. Say, there's Pat Gone is inside and he's just taking mushrooms and he's licking the walls, right?
Right.
And we get locked out outside. All right. Given that the wind chills are what they are, we are even with the short amount of time that you have before things get serious, we are reasonably intelligent people. Now, if there's something that's inhibiting this, fine. But, I don't care if I have to bust a window with a rock to get in where the heat source is and then block it from the inside. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Right.
Like, do we have time for a short story to tell you
Sure.
about extremes? Okay.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
All right. So this is a tale of when I was delivering prototypes for Whirlpool with a gentleman named Christopher Gathright, another brilliant comedian that you used to have on your podcast. And we were in the hills of West Virginia. And the truck broke down at the apex of the foothills. I mean, it was a small mountain is what it was. And because of the way the wind was whipping across, the temps were probably about 20 in the teens, but because of the wind chills were in the negatives. And we were stuck there for hours. And even with all the moving blankets and clothes and everything, we were in danger. And so I told Chris, I said, we've got displays, Whirlpool displays, thousands of dollars of Whirlpool displays in the back of this box truck that are proprietary and worth tens of thousands of dollars. And I told him, I don't give two squirts of shit. I'm not going to die on the side or the top of this damn mountain. So we pulled all of the wood fixtures and everything out of the back of that truck, and they said life is good and all the Walmart or Whirlpool brands and everything. And we set them on fire. We had a bonfire on the side of the road with all of these displays. And I've got a picture of me with my sweats pulled up. They look like shorts because it got so warm on the side of the road that we were sweating. Okay. So that is, I use that to illustrate in desperate situations, human beings will go to extremes to save themselves. So
Right.
that makes me question what happened that they were, you know what I mean?
There has to be a variable to the situation where they maybe weren't of sound mind or
Right.
Yeah. That's wild though, man. Good for you. They got insurance, right?
Yep.
All right. Are you guys ready for the next clip that I got for this?
Yes.
Please.
We now know what killed these three men in Kansas City. How it happened, whom else might be in danger, those are the questions. But this is certainly not over. All right, so what do we know? Three young men in their 30s found dead in the backyard of a friend who survived. Didn't make sense. Why? No sign of foul play. One of them upright in a chair, one of them without a coat, frozen in the cold. Didn't make sense until you see the blood. Let's go to News Nation's national correspondent, Alex Capriello in Kansas City, Missouri, for the latest. It's a big scoop. What do you know?
Yeah, big scoop and certainly unexpected. We were told that these toxicology reports would not come back for at least another 3 to 5 weeks, but little did we know that they would be delivered to the families, at least the information that was within inside of them to the families. Basically, what I've heard from my sources who are connected to these families tell me that detectives from KCPD called them, told them that the preliminary toxicology reports have come back to their desk, and it shows that there was a mixture of cocaine, fentanyl, and THC, also known as marijuana, that was in their systems.
Yeah. No,
Wow.
it changes the whole setup.
Okay,
Yeah.
so how were they positioned? They said one was upright in a chair, one was what?
Without
One
without
had
a
a coat
coat.
on. Yeah. So, but the thing is, I did look at the overdosing on fentanyl, and it'll make you. I mean, you can get sweats. You kind of get delusional. I mean, you get pretty sick from it. So they could have, if there was also others. I mean, they were high on coke, THC. I mean, and they've probably been drinking.
So basically, they all were in a really different state of mind and went outside and just kind of just froze to death.
Yeah. But here's one thing that I do want to point out is that he said my sources. And here's where things can get jumbled up. And this is where some people go, oh, well, here's what happened. all he said was my sources. Nobody has verified that this is actually what happened.
True.
And the toxicology has not been confirmed and released to the public because they're probably still determining, was it the cold that killed him or was it the drugs that killed him? So
I'm thinking maybe both. that was a lot of combinations of stuff, man.
Well, I don't know. Okay, so I'm no fentanyl expert, but like how I mean, what is it, like super sudden? Does it just cause like a cardiac arrest? I mean, it didn't.
Well, fentanyl kill the shit out of you, dude.
Yeah,
it doesn't take much.
Michael Jackson was using it for like what? Wasn't he using it to like go to sleep? It was propofol or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah,
I thought it was fentanyl. But
no, I think it's 2 milligrams. Is it 2 milligrams or something of fentanyl? It's something ridiculously
it's a
low.
very tiny amount. There's
literally kill you.
Yeah. It'll mess you up. But so this, if we circle back to the angel inside the house who had no idea of what was going on, I'm thinking this person supplied these substances.
Like intentionally.
One of the group, like
you think in order to cause a death, or just what?
No, they were just partying, dude. It's a game. They're watching the game. They're having fun. This guy's like, "Hey, man, I've got all this stuff."
Yeah.
And then his buddies die. He wakes up from the bender that he was on too, and now he's playing stupid because he knows if he is the one that supplied, they go out, they die because they were under the influence. That dude's got 3 murder raps.
Manslaughter.
Him.
That's manslaughter, isn't it?
Yes,
at a minimum. At a minimum. I don't know if it's first or second degree. I'd say probably second.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing is like he was in the house. So I mean he could have been just as messed up as they were, but he went to bed in his house.
Right.
Well, I know a buddy of mine, when fentanyl started becoming like really hitting the scene, you know what I mean? What was it? We were talking about when people cut cocaine, right? When people cut any kind of powder substance, like, so cutting powder is like an incredibly complex like process. Like it's really, really difficult unless you work in like a lab and have the machinery and have that kind of stuff in order to evenly mix one powder with another. And a lot of times that you'll get like little pockets of concentrated whatever because you don't know how to mix it. Things like cocaine in Kansas City have gone on through several pairs of hands to get to you.
Right.
It's possible one pocket was some good pure stuff and the other was just loaded with fentanyl, but like it's just odd how. But I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Also, how does this guy go to bed if they've been doing blow all night? Come on.
I mean, if he's an avid user, I mean,
but it's a weird.
I'm gonna take a nap
because you've got stimulants and suppressants fighting it out like the jets and the sharks inside of these guys' systems. You know, I mean, what's winning out? That is a weird, crazy mix of stuff to be taken. It sounds like they just were shoving just loads of shit in there. You know, like let's just take it all.
Yeah. What do you got, Evolution?
I'm kind of sitting with everybody else. As Sean was talking, I was thinking about what Thomas was saying as well. You know, maybe they were doing like a freeze out thing, and drinking and doing all that stuff to continue. You know, I guess I'm going to win this. I'm not going to lose this. So I'm going to do what I got to do to win this thing. And nobody won.
Nobody wins this game.
Yeah.
But I mean,
do you really think it could be that stupid that those guys were playing a game like Thomas said, whoever goes inside first is a bitch? Like, could it really be that dumb?
I've seen some pretty stupid things in my time.
When I lived in Lawrence, I used to do this. I was the dumbest shit. And there was a group of us that we'd start getting drunk and we would literally kick each other in the thighs until somebody would give in. And I mean, we were talking about good welted legs the next day, like just beat to shit. And we were sitting there, just nobody would give up. We would just keep going. And I mean, you were drunk. It was stupid. It was, young.
these guys are in their 30s.
They are. I mean,
so,
they're older. Some of them are older than me. So
it's just it's a big question mark.
yeah,
But all of these things are probably possible
yeah.
at some point.
Well, now we're getting into like several different. I mean, there's several different avenues, right? Is this like a
Right.
situation where like toxic masculinity has poisoned
Yes.
their minds, and they
All
won't
right,
be
so
the
wait,
last
wait, wait.
one?
That
Okay.
was from a prison study. Toxic masculinity and toxic femininity do not exist.
Right.
Toxic masculinity was coined during a prison study specific to that environment, and somebody co-opted that because they saw it in a study. All right, and I know how they do this because I'm going through my PhD shit right now, and they see something in a research study and like, ooh, I like that. It doesn't exist.
Okay.
Doesn't
Well,
exist.
you know what I mean, though, right? Listen to what I mean, right? So,
Ah.
like this idea of machismo, like I'm better than you, I'm going to beat you, I'm not going to lose to you.
Yeah.
Like maybe I don't to play this freeze out game, or to
Yeah.
do another line of
Or they're
fentanyl
sitting,
laced cocaine,
or if they're sitting
We
out
still
there
got all
like,
this.
what
so
they're
I mean,
sitting
but
out there
that's what
like,
I mean, though. Like, is did this buddy of theirs who just happened to get sleepy and go to bed, like say, screw you guys, like you guys have been a bully to me my whole life. I invited you to my home to watch
Yeah.
this game. I hate you all.
Yeah.
Like I'll tap out a couple lines for you guys. I'm going to bed. Like, ha ha, gotcha, bitch. Like, and I'm gonna play. I'm gonna play the idiot when the cops come rolling through. I don't know.
Well, and he can play the idiot all he wants, but at the end of the day, I mean, they're gonna find out like where it came from, especially because I know they gave him a toxicology, or they took his blood too.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
And when they get if he has the same stuff in their system, it's not gonna be oh, what happened? It's gonna be, where did it come from? Where did you get this substance? Like, where, who is the guy that we need to find now? Like,
right. Yeah.
And it's gonna be scare tactic. You killed these men. Like you did this.
Yeah. I mean, even if he wasn't the supplier, I mean, he's still going to be tagged with it because he's the
Right.
survivor, right?
I know. I think I like Thomas's idea. Like, this is the usual suspect shit where like this guy is playing. I'm like, no, I had nothing to do with it. I was watching, but he planned this thing from start to finish, got them all, goobered up and, outside. They had no idea. He locks the door, right?
Wow.
And he's standing in the window just watching them die.
Been watching too much forensic files, too much 48 hours recently. My mind is in a weird place right
this
now.
Is not me.
That's good.
This.
I know my mind is in a weird place right now. It's too much true crime for me.
Yeah, I like it, man.
This is the second time we've created a conspiracy theory on the show, and there's only been 3 episodes.
I swear they've been friends my whole life. I don't know what happened.
Well, they were high school friends. They all grew up together. So I mean, he could have been the one getting bullied the whole time.
Yeah, you know what, man? This might be a long game con. This guy might have been playing in this for, maybe the McSweeney guy or whatever slept with his girlfriend back in high school.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just had a reflected thought. This house was a rented house.
Yep.
And from the clip that I've seen, I don't think you guys have seen this clip. He moved away from the house.
Yes, he moved out, and now he's actually in rehab. He checked himself into rehab.
Interesting. Do you think that is a PR play, or do you think?
I think it's I think his
attorney.
told him he needed to.
Hey, this would look good on you if you're seeking treatment. Like, this was a wild night out, and your friends died because of it.
I don't think it was him just on his own saying, hey, I'm just gonna go check in rehab, But no, he moved out of the house and he checked into rehab, and I think it's because his attorney told him, no, you need to do this. Like, he probably told him some information that we don't know, and he's like, go check yourself into rehab now.
That's pretty good turnaround time, though. He moved out. If that's his house that he's renting.
Yeah, that's
a month.
Within a month, yeah. 3 weeks. The news article said 3 weeks.
That's
He was
highly
moved out.
suspect because
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody in this thing has moved at one time or another in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Unless he's got, a stick in the red knapsack and he's just ready to walk out the door. That's a very short time.
That's a process. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
In the middle of
That's
winter.
so strange.
And if you're
your 3 best friends just died. So who's
right,
Yeah.
right.
So nobody's to help.
Who's going to help you move, right?
I've got all this pizza and beer.
Oh, maybe his fiance will come help me move. I don't know.
Ooh.
that or maybe I don't know if landlord comes in and says, look, there's suspicious activity in this house. 3 adult males died in the backyard under your care. Like, you're out of here, buddy. Like,
Right.
I don't know if you
Right.
can do
Yeah,
that.
there's got to be something in a lease agreement against that.
Against
So also in the clip that I saw, the relatives of those guys that are no longer alive, they're very pissed because they think something else is going on. Probably because they have, I guess, some idea how these people are. I don't know.
Well,
but
I imagine the people closest to these victims, if this is what we want to call them at this point, like are probably going to have they're probably enlightened to a certain degree about their relationship between each other,
right,
or habits of each other. Like, I know that my wife knows a lot of the habits of my friends and doesn't, and some she's approval of and some she does not approve of, and this, that, whatever. So, I mean, there's a lot of people that probably know a lot of things about the way these people are,
right. And this is kind of where the perception comes into play too. These family members are probably just freaking out and pointing the blame and coming up with these rumors in their head and like talking each other up over the phone. Like, no, it was him. He had to have done it. They wouldn't have done this. Like, and some of the reports, like the mom was talking and she said, "Oh, my son would never do drugs and stuff like that." Well, clearly, if it was in the system, then
he's doing them.
Yeah,
right.
And what we haven't talked about is that there was a 5th person there that night, but he left several hours earlier, so he didn't really have anything.
Really?
Yeah, so he didn't really have anything to report, like, because he said he had left several hours earlier.
Interesting.
Unless he was, helping the dude out.
Yeah, but several hours. I mean, that Chiefs game was an evening game. Started at 7:15. That game wouldn't have been over until like 10:30.
Yeah.
Right. So
right.
I mean, what time is this guy leaving? It's just like, all right, game's over. See you guys. I mean,
well, it always says it's like the attorney of the guy who's doing the talking for him too. Is not them directly. Yeah. So
I'm thinking that the other guy was the one dropping off the product, getting the money for it, and leaving.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So that's the dealer.
Yeah.
Plot thickens.
And the guy that fell asleep, that's probably okay. So how's about the evolution? I think you're right, man. So the guy that came over, that's the dealer, right? He's bringing the stuff. The guy at the rental, that's his dude who he gets his stuff from, right? So that's why he's not saying anything. Like, I know nothing, all right? And so that's the chain. Right.
Yeah.
That seems to make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's say missing information.
and let's say that he does do these drugs pretty frequently. Maybe he knew what the effects were going to be. Says, "All right, guys, I'm going to lay down. I'm out. I'm going to go ride this out. I'm going to go ride this out in my room."
I mean, he would have to know what's in it, right? So
yeah.
At the same time, I wouldn't want 3 dead guys in my backyard, though. Like, do that crap somewhere else.
Yeah.
Maybe he was used to doing that, and they weren't.
Right.
Like what? They're all the 3 guys are all they're in the church choir, and he's like, "Hey, we got all this cocaine and stuff. You want to?"
No, not to the. Okay, so I guess what I'm getting at is, they might have done drugs and experimented with those things, but not to the level that person has done it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So his system might have been built up to where his tolerance was a lot higher than theirs, especially in the warmth.
Right.
Right. Well, I mean, if the thing is, if the 4 of us are buying drugs together to party with
I know
each
a
other,
guy. Just as a headset.
Sure.
make some calls.
Okay. You get an 8-ball, all right, and we all chip in. All right.
Right.
It's say the 8-ball's $20. I don't know what the street values are, but we put in $20, even to put $5 in. We are all culpable, right?
Right.
Okay. We're all taking part in this.
Right.
But for this guy that fell asleep at the house to be like, nah, I fell asleep, I have no idea, yada, yada, yada.
Mhm.
It just seems like there's some avoidance there. Like if
Yes.
we're going by psychology. So, I'm thinking A, therefore B. I think this guy was the one that got the stuff, because if they all did it together, then they all share blame. And the fact that they got all whacked out of their gourds went outside, that's on them. There could be charges, but I don't think, like you were saying, Jukebox, manslaughter. But if he's the one that sourced it, brought everything in, and then they died because of it, then that's a whole different level of charges.
Yep.
Mm.
That's why they're trying to kind of figure that out too. And I don't think that he hasn't been charged with anything yet. As of right now, he has not been charged with anything.
Well, what do you guys think?
Even as it stands, I just don't know what he could be charged with if they can't rule this a homicide or maybe negligence. Like I'm
thinking of two things here, and they involve the door. Was the door broke and had an issue with being open, or was the cold keeping it from opening normally, or like Sean said, did he lock the door? Did he lock him out? And it should be a clear fingerprint that would solve all that.
Yeah, I feel like they would have figured like that would have already been a closed case by this point if the door had been locked.
I don't know.
But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Or
you ever had friends who you absolutely couldn't stand anymore, and you're just like, you just have to get the F out of my house.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care where you go.
Yeah,
Just get
I'm
the
going
F
to
out
bed.
of here.
Go home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
God, that'd be so fucked if that's what happened. But I like Evolution's take on this. It's the landlord's fault because he's a negligent landlord. Didn't fix the door lock. They die because he's a slumlord.
Now it's the landlord. Now the landlord's the bad guy.
Yeah, man.
I love it. That's fantastic.
Oh, that's good. I'm gonna tag him in this when we're all done. Okay, I'm gonna find his name and tag
The
him.
landlord. Yeah.
Yeah. What's that? 47 minutes and 32 seconds. I'll let him know. All right.
House for sale.
KCPD.
You're on notice, dude.
We figured you out. You're the next suspect.
Oh man.
I don't know.
So
Some strange things do happen with like landlord. So okay, I don't know how much I want to divulge here, but I have an uncle who's kind of a wild card, and he's got all these crazy stories. And I guess he has a friend of his who passed away suddenly. I don't know what it was, but he had a friend who passed away. Well, so my uncle has been renting this friend of his house to another friend via his now dead friend. So he's renting his dead friend house out to other people. He's like, oh yeah, this is what he would have wanted. He would have wanted me to, and we're like, I don't know if this is legal. And we're like, hey man, where'd you get that new boat? Where'd you get that new lawnmower? It's like, oh yeah, came with the house. So I just, he wanted me to have it. And,
what is it with uncles?
I don't know, man. Like I said, this dude's a wild card, so I'm not going to mention his name. I'll just put it that way. I don't know who might be seeing this. But I'm not BSing you right now. Like this is what's happening in his world. So in terms of landlords, who knows how legitimate this landlord situation was? Was there an actual lease agreement? Was there a contract signed? How was this house being paid for? What was rent? What did rent look like? Was it actual like monetary rent? Was it something else?
Right. So as far as we know now, there's no solid. Here's what happened. Here's a breakdown. What happened? Right. And we can sit here and ponder up.
Wait a minute. Oh no!
What you got?
Am I still there?
You're good.
Yeah. The girl that broke in the house.
We're forgetting about her.
Yes. I think there's something there.
It's
It's possible
strange.
because
this
they haven't
girlfriend,
said
fiance?
it's a fiance of one of the dead guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
She said that she told the police that she hadn't heard from the Willis and that she'd been trying to get hold of him for 2 days. And she broke in
2
because
days?
she was worried. Yeah. So it was Tuesday the 9th that they were all found. Yeah.
Wait, hold on a second. All right, we've all lived. Okay, I think everybody in this room is at least over 30. Okay, am I right?
yes.
Right.
No, I'm
right.
actually 17.
Well, you know,
Joke's on you.
I just look 48. That's all.
well, here's what I'm saying. You approach
you
a house, okay, everything is locked up. All right, you approach the front door, nobody's answering. Is your first inclination to break in a basement window, or do you walk around the back to check the back door and bang on the back
Boom.
door?
Now
Back
you
door
see
for
what I'm
sure.
thinking.
Yeah,
Back door
that's
for
right.
sure.
Yeah.
And why would she not call the police first?
Right.
And is this a privacy fence you can't see in the backyard? Do we know that?
Yeah, it's a
information?
6 foot. It's a wooden fence.
So
Okay.
there's a fence, so she couldn't get in the
Yeah.
backyard. Then.
Well, the neighbors didn't even see it. You know, over the 2 days, nobody saw it. Yeah.
All
I mean,
right.
she probably could have gotten it. There had to be a door or something. I mean, still, you'd try to look around. Like, you wouldn't just break in the basement window.
No, and if there was a way, if there was like a gate to the back, like through the fence to the backyard, you would still. I know in that situation, I would still try. I know as EMS, you know, if I'm going to a scene and I can't get through the front, I'm looking for a way to get in the back too.
Right.
Right. And if this guy's, you know, my person's missing for 2 damn days,
Right.
you know, I'm figuring out a way.
Yeah.
Before I start kicking in windows. That's like the next level of extreme. But I like what Evolution said. Why didn't you call the cops?
Yeah.
Right.
This is weird.
It's really weird. Yeah. And it's just crazy because over the last 3 weeks, there hasn't really been a lot of new information other than the sources of the toxicology report.
And this has been a month, right? This is a month
Yes.
since this happened, right?
Yeah. So it's crazy to think about. I do kind of want to flip the script a little bit as we ponder, but this hasn't been an issue for a while. The fentanyl has been talked about a lot lately about people dying from it. And what is it that makes this particular case so, like, why did it went viral? Like, it's still viral on like TikTok and social media right now. And here's my opinion on it right here.
Okay. I was not ready for that.
I'm sure you were. But with all the
awesome.
hype, just think about all the hype on social media right now about the two of them being together. It's kind of got. We all know what the algorithm is, but the Kansas City area is really popular right now because of this. On top of them making it to the Super Bowl, so if this story just kind of got hashtagged in.
Right.
Look, all eyes on this town right now.
Yeah, because this isn't that. I mean, it's not a rare thing. People have been dying from fentanyl for a while now.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I think in the end, this is going to end up being a cold case.
Yeah.
Ah.
That was good. That's good.
Very nice. I like that.
That's
I
good.
like that. That the comedian in you is coming
Good
out.
Right. But yeah, I mean, what do you think? Like, do you think Willis, like, let's say they all did the drugs and Willis wasn't the main source, maybe it was the other guy. Do you think do you think Willis should be the one in trouble for it? Like, if he was actually out for 2 days because he was high out of his mind?
I mean,
assuming let's assume he wasn't the primary suspect. You know, he didn't intentionally do it.
The survivor was not the supplier of the substances that may or may not have caused the death of these people.
Right.
Okay, I want to go a different angle.
Okay, bring it.
2 days. You know, a lot can happen in 2 days, and I'm thinking about a fiance. Um, Fiancés wouldn't wait 48 hours,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
It would be a lot sooner than 2 days.
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
'Cause there's no way that fiance did not know where this person was going to be watching their game.
Right.
Now, I don't know the politics of their particular relationship, but I can't see a world where this woman is like, I don't know where he watched that game. I don't know who his friends are. I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Or that they're not checking in with each other. I like how you put that.
Well, one of these guys has
Yeah.
has 3 daughters, a 14-year-old, 9-year-old, 6-year-old, and his wife. Like, so, I mean, these are there's whole families that just waited 2 days.
Right. Why is this one fiance the only responder in this situation?
Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
What the hell?
Right.
Because every time we're circling back to this, it gets even
more weird,
complicated.
That's the whole point of the show. I'm liking this.
Okay, well, here's another thought. Does it seem like if we kind of touch back on the theory that this was intentional, like some complicated thing that they cooked up, the guy that went to sleep knew what was in the stuff, knew it would blitzkrieg their systems. They go outside, he locks them out. He dead, right? The fiance comes over, kicks in a window, in a desperate attempt to get inside and find, the guys, but yet doesn't wake the guy up, doesn't do anything that makes street sense. I'm talking common street sense that people would do in a situation, right?
Right.
What if the sleeping Jeopardy dude and the fiance are in on it, and this was like some elaborate cooked up plan?
Ooh, nice.
Okay.
And that would explain the 2 days, right?
You got to give me 2 days. I got this.
Make sure they're damn good and dead.
Good and frozen.
Man.
I think you're onto something. Actually, I think we should explore that a little bit more. I mean, what do you think? What is this person's occupation? First of all, this lone survivor.
I was actually thinking that.
Because I mean, okay, first of all, like this is a Sunday night game, right? So this is a work night. You got to get up and go to work the next day. Usually, right?
Usually,
right.
So I just can't. Knowing that all of them have to go to work the next day, I would think, and they're going hard in the paint with a little bit of blow, drinking their asses off, smoking pot, and then on top of that, then there's this gap in time between when this fiance all of a sudden shows up to try and find her, soon-to-be husband. And then this lone survivor has no idea what happened the entire time. So,
all right, you ready for this?
I don't know, man.
Stupid ads.
Well,
all
let's
right,
go
so here we go.
The war in Israel's involved.
This is the guy who was renting the property. It says Willis, who has a PhD, is a senior principal scientist for the nonprofit International AIDS Vaccine Initiative, and works at its Neutralizing Antibody Center in LA, California, and Kansas City.
Guilty.
What?
with his two pit bulls. He had dogs.
Wait a minute.
So for 2 days he's out.
Wait a minute.
So wait, this is the surviving person?
No.
Yes, this is the guy who was renting the property.
Before I forget, this lady kicks in a window and goes in a house with 2 pit bulls that's been there for 2 days
without food.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
This just
I'm calling bullshit. Here's the thing.
This guy didn't let these dogs out one time.
Right.
And you know that. Okay.
This doesn't make any sense because you brought up the point about work. If I don't show up, all right, for my work Monday morning, all right, I one of my many jobs is I teach English in college, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I just rando don't show up on a Monday morning, I guarantee you emails, phone calls, emergency contacts, a whole bunch of shit's going down. And if this guy's a PhD, that tells me that this circle of friends, and I know people are diverse, have diverse friends and things like that, but generally, you kind of hang around sames,
Right.
And so I don't think he's hanging out with factory workers who maybe they have a couple weeks off, during that time of year. I'm assuming these guys probably have professional jobs.
Yeah.
So if they're not showing up on Monday, right, because it was a Sunday night game,
Yeah.
why aren't all kinds of alarms with the families, work, everything just going nuts for these guys?
Right.
2 days, and then some rogue fiance all of a sudden says, you know what, I better go check, kicks in a window. The pit bulls are just like, we haven't eaten for days. We're fine.
Right.
She wanders through the house. What the fuck is going on, guys?
The man is a
and
doctor.
dude didn't wake up at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's a doctor in a lab where they develop vaccines for AIDS. Is that what I saw?
Yeah, antibodies for AIDS.
So this guy has some knowledge of pathology in some fashion or another. And what substances have effect on the body, how they enter the bloodstream, what they're going to react with. Like this isn't some schlub who's all right,
Which
boys.
it would kind of make you question his response to answering the door too, just so dumbly, just playing so dumb about it,
Yeah.
Right.
The fuck is going on, guys?
Which also brings me back to my thought from before. Yeah, I used his tolerance level, but he knew exactly what to take and what not to take, versus what he was probably offering everybody else.
Might be right. Now, did that toxicology report also include that Willis, the survivor?
They haven't done one on. They've done one on him, but they haven't released it. They've only released the results of the.
What does Cuomo's sources say?
I already played that part. Well, the rumor is.
Wow.
But no,
that's astounding. I had no idea that's what that guy's job was.
Yeah.
Right, and I'm glad I looked that up. I'm glad you mentioned it because that.
What were the jobs of the three guys?
Let me find out.
Yeah.
You want to get wide on the conspiracy? Let's go down this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
What if this wasn't it's not an assassination because these guys were, as far as we know, governmental figures. But what if this was a planned attack and it has nothing to do with relationships, any of that shit? What if these guys were involved in some other stuff? If this guy's a PhD at this level of research, what are his buddies doing for a living? Not the Ricky Bobby guy. I bet he's, probably was a gas station, but the other two. I mean,
they do too much. And sometimes there's collateral. So, you know what? If you got to take out all three, you got to take out all three.
Ricky's out back going, guys, I don't want to die.
So, David Harrington was a finance manager at Reed Honda.
Wow.
Okay.
Really?
That's one of them. Let's see here.
So these guys are, they have careers. They have jobs that sustain their lifestyles. And
yeah, with accountability that people would immediately notice if they're not there.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Ricky Johnson from Independence, he owned Busy Deliveries. He owned a delivery business.
So now you've got a business owner with employees who will obviously notice that. Oh, okay.
Well, also, you have a delivery network. You have a scientist with a lot of knowledge on the body,
and
then
finance
you got a finance guy.
Yeah.
You got money. You got delivery. You got science,
and people with access to drugs. Look, this is people with access. Yeah, this is starting to feel like the last one where we figured out that the mom was also remember? I think we're getting to the new conspiracy.
He is a franchise partner. Oh no, that's not him. Sorry. Don't listen to that one. That would have been nice, though. That would have went right along with it. I'm looking. I'm having a harder time finding his.
Well, why would you have thought to look this stuff up? No, it took the
Right.
mystery squad to figure out to get to this point.
Yeah, we're on
Right.
something. I still find this
I'm
is like
looking-
pretty striking. It's the I
He
mean,
was
it's not like
he owned a floor installation business.
So
Floor
now you got
installation.
two business owners.
Yeah.
there is
Yeah.
a substantial amount of accountability
Yeah.
by these guys.
Okay. So listen to what I'm thinking. A floor installation business, someone in finance, and you got someone in delivery. Has
Uh-huh.
anyone looked under the floor in this rental property? I think you're onto something, Thomas. I think this is a whole operation
and
that just
the
got
landlord
taken
the
out.
landlord is like the silent partner in all of it.
Yeah.
You're not releasing my name in this podcast.
Yeah,
Wow,
That's
this-
good
yeah, I
stuff.
think we're onto something. Somebody just took out an operation. They
Dude,
took out.
I think this is going to be problematic for all of us. I think. Did you guys ever see the movie The Pelican Brief?
Yeah.
Yeah, remember when
I
she
did.
figured she had a theory, she put it into a paper in college, and yeah. I think the cops are sitting around. This is a massive thing. It involves people at the highest levels of government in Kansas City, and at the top of it, Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift, God damn it. She just had to come to Kansas City and fuck everything up.
No, isn't that like a conspiracy theory in its own? It's that Taylor Swift is like an operative of some kind.
Oh man.
Oh, there's all kinds of dude surrounding Taylor Swift. She is a reincarnation of Anton LaVey's wife, and if you look at Anton, the guy that was head of the Church of Satan, his wife, they look like twins.
Really?
It's creepy.
Okay.
It is
I'm looking
creepy.
it up.
And if you look up all the symbology
Nothing
that
has
he
anything
has
to do with this.
in the airs, no. This all tracks. All right. So here's the thing. So head of the NFL, Illuminati, obviously. All right. Brings in,
Of course.
Right. Brings in, in the NFL scripted anyway, so we all know that. It's ridiculous. So they bring in Taylor Swift to help with the ratings and everything. All right. And they're distributing drugs to the people in Kansas City, right? Through what? A delivery business. Now, who's doing the books for him?
The finance guy.
Finance guy. And who's doing all the cutting of the drugs? The PhD chemist guy.
Whoa!
Oh my God.
Boom.
Whoa!
Boom.
Whoa!
You are welcome, sirs.
No.
Dude, we did
way.
it again.
That's true.
It is
Oh,
true.
wait,
That's how we
wait,
end.
the outfit. Look at the outfit. It's almost
I
the same.
know. I'm telling you, dude.
This is getting out of hand.
The
man.
hairstyle, the pose, the lips.
So
Oh
now we're
my
getting into
God.
a satanic cult drug dealing operation. Got it.
Oh my
Ran by
goodness.
Swift.
Wow.
Based
This
in
is a
Kansas City.
wrap. This is way too much. Oh man.
Well,
that is
you know,
incredible.
I do feel like that's a pretty good way to wrap this episode.
Man,
up,
that's awesome.
We did, though. We ended up with another damn side by side.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Thomas, the last episode we did, it was me, Sean, and Evolution, and we did Gypsy Rose, and we determined that her husband was actually her dead mom, and that she never actually died. So yeah, and we actually did a side by side of her husband and her mom, and it was pretty spot on.
Oh goodness.
Man.
Okay.
Yeah. Like what you just saw, level of creepy.
Yes.
You saw him, and it was just like you're looking back and forth, and it's almost like you couldn't tell the difference between the two.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
Very strange.
Look, I'm gonna pull it up real quick. Hold on, and then we're gonna wrap this.
Yeah,
We'll
because
wrap
Tom's
it up
got to
by
see
doing
this, man.
Yeah,
Like,
it is impressive. It's impressive how
I'm
similar.
not sure that's the word I would use. Creepy on
Not
a very deep
impressive.
level.
All right, so that's her husband
Yeah.
now, and the mom.
Oh,
But if you look at the
my
facial
gosh.
structure, the facial structure, the body, like it's pretty
Yeah.
spot on.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Dude. Seriously.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to end up making this like a conspiracy
like
theory
that.
show instead.
I don't like that at all.
He's like, I don't like it, guys. I don't.
Oh man.
This might have to have a follow up. Once some more details get released, we're gonna have to.
We'll have to do it. We'll have to do a
Yeah.
part 2 once we get all the results.
I just want to
Actually,
see how
I'm
right
down-
we are. You know?
Yes,
Oh,
yeah, we can discuss
yeah.
it. I'm definitely down for doing that for sure. So everybody, thank you again for coming. Thomas, thanks for coming on, man.
Glad to be here. Thanks
Absolutely.
for having me, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice meeting
And
you.
for
Jim.
Yeah.
for those of you who do stay tuned with JG's Lounge, we appreciate you. Evolution, check out That's Life with Evolution. Also, what's going on with Evolution Poetics. You also got the Sean Shank Redemption podcast. And, we're just a growing channel of people that want to have a good time and talk to people and have interesting conversations. And, sky's the limit. So, Thomas, would love to have you back on sometime, man.
Cool, man. Glad to be here.
Yeah. And to everybody else, we'll see you around.
Take care.